Hello and welcome everybody to another Thursday night edition of Aquaholics Anonymous. If you are new to the channel, I am Fish Room Fever, and this is my buddy, my pal, my co-host, Chattanooga Ed. Appreciate you all being here. Ed, I appreciate you hanging out with me as always.
Loving it.
I think we're going to have a fun conversation tonight. We always try to have fun. We are going to be, thank you for the audio video check, Merdula. Appreciate that, because with moving the fish room around and once again, kind of resetting everything back up right before the stream, it's good. And we're still working on the lighting and things as we progress and move things around, but hope to continue improving every week. And I thank you for the AV check. But we are going to talk about aquariums. Our fish tank's hard to keep. I think this is something that we can all relate to. We all do aquarium maintenance. It's also a great topic for people that are just getting into the hobby. Maybe somehow they stumble across this in the vastness of fish tube. And maybe they can draw off of this and get some good ideas of ways that they can improve their fish keeping, and also some things that maybe they aren't aware that they should or could be doing. But what kind of brought this topic on? One, of course, I have been spending a lot of time moving tanks this week. Some of you all have seen with the member stuff, and then just in community posts and things like that, which, by the way, for those of you that haven't seen it, because I know it doesn't really pop up for everybody, I have been doing a lot more community posts, so I hope you all check those out and enjoy them. Those are for everybody. You don't have to be a member to see those, but we've been doing some fun stuff there. One of the things was inspired by Corey at Aquarium Co-op. In his last live stream, he was talking about what's missing from fish tube, and I think this also translates over to a lot of us that are here, because a lot of us are diehard aquarists or fish keepers. And he thought it was really everybody spending an hour a day, hands wet, so to speak, working on their fish tanks. And I definitely can agree with that. One is being someone that's put way more than an hour a day into their tanks, and also somebody that's had times when they slacked off and wasn't even spending an hour actually working on tanks, even though we're surrounded by them. So we'll talk a little bit of details on that. But we did, that was one of the community posts I did, was what I labeled hashtag 1 hour challenge. And it's been fun hearing from you all what you've been doing and interacting with you all in that way, and also showing kind of the stuff that's been going on here. As you can see from before, we've got the there we go. The 75 gallon is set up right there. That's an axolotl grow out tank. And then the 110 gallon planted community tank we've got right there. Working very hard to get everything ready for a fish room tour. But basically in this room, in this fish room, that puts us with the 13 gallon Aquarium Project Piaba conservation tank that's here on the desk. That's a 13 gallon wide screen, so I love it because it's narrow front to back, so it's great on the desk. I've got Blue Dreams from LRB in there. We've got the 75 gallon with the Exodon Paradoxus or Bucktooth Tetris, which also I got when I was at LRB's. The 75 below it, which is just kind of working as a grow out for a couple fish, a Datinoid and a Bisher in there. And then 75 axolotl tank here. 110 community tank. And then the other tank that you can't see is on this wall. And that is the 125 that I need to reseal, that is going to be for the Bishers. So just in this fish room, quite a few tanks. And then about 25 to 30 in the other main fish room, and a few things down the fish hallway. But back specifically on topic, I thought it was a great idea. Now, I will say that it was initially I don't want to say a call out, but a call to action for fish tubers specifically, but he did also include aquarists in general in that after the fact. And I feel like that's very valid. Matt F., welcome to the team. Thank you for becoming a member. Hold on a second. Let's do this right. Party poppers and applause. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes footage, along with the members-only emojis and all that fun stuff. Thank you again for joining the Fish Room Fever family. But it's, you can definitely see a difference when people are spending time in their tanks versus when they are not. Myself included, definitely guilty of that. I've been spending 10 plus hours, anywhere 8 to 12, 14 hours a day these past week or so, couple of weeks, just trying to get things how I want them to get a final end result. But I'm still going to maintain that. It's going to be a daily goal of mine. MNC Aquatics saying new tank will be front toast. I saw that comment. I thought I responded to that because I know Mrs. Fever will be really jealous of having a 180-gallon fronty tank. So very, very cool there. Chris, my brother from another mother, I will definitely grab that here in just a second. And I appreciate you. I do. And congrats, Chris, on 2,000 subscribers. I heard John talking about that. So congratulations, my friend. But I really feel like it's one of those things, and I'll bring up a counterpoint that was mentioned in the comments, but I feel like it's one of those things that you can really get to a higher standard, a higher level of fish keeping if you are spending that 1 hour in there. Because I've like I said, I've had times where I slacked off and maybe I'm just, minimal maintenance, doing the things that have to be done, but not putting in the extra effort. And now I look at things and I look at a tank and I go, well, what could I do with an hour on just that tank? And I do want to preface before we get too far down the rabbit hole. This is not designed to make it harder for new fish keepers. A lot of us here are not new fish keepers. Or if we are, we've gotten to the multi-tank syndrome or multi-tank addiction, right, Chris? And are progressing towards fish room fever, where we've got multiple fish rooms we're working on. So I think that's definitely a place where it comes into play. My thought process is, because there was a valid point that maybe this is something that we're adding extra work to a new hobbyist. My thought process would be, if you're new to the hobby and maybe you've got one tank, you probably don't have an hour's worth of work to do to that tank. And if you're new to the hobby and you've got multiple tanks and you are going, oh, well, this would help me get a lot of stuff caught up. Maybe you're to the point where you should have already been hands-on doing an hour every day. And this will help you get back where you can spend more time enjoying. I also want to mention a point, because it was a valid point from that person, from one of the comments, in terms of, well, you want people to be hands-on and do maintenance, and that's just adding stress. I personally don't find working on my aquarium stressful. Now, I do understand that some of you are probably going, yeah, but you're a full-time fish tuber or whatever. You don't have a 9 to 5. When I was working 6-7 days a week on call, 60, 80, 90 hours a week, was still doing fish tanks. If I got my 7th day off, which sometimes I didn't because I was on call, I would devote my 7 hours in that one day. And somebody asked about that, and I think that's a very valid point. Maybe you can't schedule in an hour every day. And I feel like that would be an easy cop-out for a lot of people, but I also feel like it's a valid point for several people as well. Maybe you've got somebody that works, 12-hour shifts and they have several days off, or 10-hour shifts and they have several days off. But I don't think that doing tank maintenance should be something that is stressful. I really feel like if, as you're getting into the hobby, you're enjoying your fish. I know a lot of people, myself included, you don't even know they're in the chats, because a lot of times we're just listening while we're doing tank maintenance. That's our stress relief, as a matter of fact, is working on tanks, getting things. Mike's Aquatics saying love in the way out. Thank you. I will come back and grab the highlighted questions and comments as soon as I finish my little ramble here with the preface, and then we'll get deeper into it and get with you all. But, I really feel like that's something that's peaceful for a lot of us. And then it definitely could and should be peaceful for everybody to be able to do that. So also keep that in mind. We don't want to scare people off. We don't want to make it a stressful thing. But I think for the people that do have a lot of work to do, this could be a very good thing, especially fish tubers. I 100% am behind him with the fish tuber aspect, that I think we could really make a lot better content, therefore getting to a lot better people, or a lot more people, I should say, and getting a lot better result in bringing more people into the hobby. If people looked and saw absolutely gorgeous aquariums that had, the time and effort put in that they deserve, I think we would draw more people in that aren't fish keepers. I really, really do. And that's what we want to do. We want to expand the hobby. My thing has always been keeping people in the hobby. I think doing that maintenance plays to that as well. It keeps your tanks from getting out of hand and getting to that point of going, I'm done. I give up. I have a friend of the family that just recently got out of fish keeping. She'd had some issues, and it wasn't necessarily because she wasn't maintaining tanks. But she had some issues, and she just walked away from the whole hobby, got rid of everything. And that's always a shame to lose somebody from the hobby like that. But we will talk about kind of what Ed and I go through, both of us having multiple tanks, fish rooms, a lot of things to do, as well as we want to hear from you all. I'm going to jump back up before these comments get too far away from me so that I can grab them, and then we will dive right back over into the discussion. So let's get up here as far as I can go. And all right, I think I made it pretty much to right before the stream started. Yep, there's that AV check, so thank you again for that. Collaborations of Curiosity saying good day to everybody. Good day. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Radul, for posting the links. FishyMom2381, how are you doing? Says, do you know where I can find seeds for aquarium plants? Seeds, I don't know. I've purchased some online, and they're really hit or miss, especially when you get into some of the Amazon, eBay type stuff. So I can't really give you a 100% on where to purchase seeds. I will say, if we're looking strictly online, excluding local fish stores, you've got not seeds, but awesome plants from Aquarium Co-op, hashtag not sponsored. And that's one of my go-tos, LRB Aquatics, lrbaquatics.com. Another great place for plants, several others. But seeds specifically, I do not know, and I apologize.
Yeah, I don't see anybody just selling seeds other than, like, if you go on Amazon, I'm pretty sure you can find it. And then if you look on Wish, but you have no idea, you might be getting grass seeds, there. So who knows? And
that was hit and miss for me, so I can't really recommend it. I could say you can give it a shot and see what you get. Fishaholics saying hello to everybody. Appreciate you being here. Aquaholics, Fishaholic. Let's see. Aaron Sam Mattel says, my friend gave me his betta, but I need a temporary tank for him, and I realized plastic tote. I had no idea, but they are cheaper than a tank, so I picked up a 5-gallon from Walmart. Absolutely awesome. I know that a lot of us in the hobby keep plastic totes. They're also a great way to have a quarantine tank on hand. It was either Steamfod Aquatics or Aquarium Co-op that did a video specifically on making a quarantine tank out of a plastic tote. 5-gallon buckets, the Buckwarium, as Racket Pond Life coined, is another great way to do temporary tanks, and even you can set up a shrimp tank, if you will, in a 5-gallon bucket. But lots of uses for plastic totes. Highly recommend keeping those in mind for your emergency tank needs or your quarantine tank needs, or even just a fun little side project. All sorts of fun stuff you could do. And congrats on that new betta, my friend. Anna Side says, how do you care for an axolotl? So I am still doing my research. This tank right here, and I want to give a huge shout out to Southern Aquatics, and I hope it's Southern Aquatics. It's the only card I had in there, so it better be her store. But Southern Aquatics, yeah, good. It's near Atlanta. It is in Roswell, Georgia.
It's like north of Atlanta.
Yeah, north of Atlanta. Actually hooked me up with a bunch of axolotls. And not to stray too far, but that was one of those things that we did. I did for Mrs. Fever, because there wasn't really anything. Kind of got to the point where it was, again, one-sided in our fish tanks in terms of, well, this is all my stuff, and you don't really have your thing, so to speak, that you've got going. So we've got the axolotls. We're going to grow them out, and she's going to do some breeding projects and have some fun with them, because she absolutely loves them. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't really do axolotls. I haven't kept them before. And it was one of those things that I'll almost equate to discus in terms of, they're difficult. They're hard. They're easy to kill. But I'm finding just what I've done is making sure the temperature's, cooler. So definitely don't put a heater in there. I've done sand substrate, and then I'm doing sponge filters because they don't like a whole bunch of flow. I moved over, so hopefully you can see some of them.
Yeah, I could see them walking, or one was like walking.
Yeah, but we're growing out a couple dozen in there. And if you see the little breeder box right there, we've got some smaller ones that we didn't want to get eaten that are in there growing up. And that's going to be her thing.
Do you have any fish in there?
No, I don't. I think I had one guppy that I decided was going to be a call guppy. I figure they would have eaten it. They have not. But that'll end up being a call tank. for
Nice.
guppies. So really enjoying that. Just, study, 10 gallons per, which right now they're in a grow out. So that's, not what we're doing. That's obviously not a 300 plus gallon tank. But I'm hoping I can get her involved and we can actually do a video on them. I would say go check out Q's Aquatics. She's got them, as well as Kaylor's Aquatics. I'm feeding some quality salmon pellet that I also got while I was down there at Southern Aquatics, who, by the way, some of you all may remember is the first and only place until just recently that I had ever found zebra plecos actually in a store. That's where I got my very first zebra plecos from, if you remember that video live from her shop as they were catching them. Same store, same awesome person. Love what she's doing down there.
And she shot you a super deal, and all you have to do is like give a couple of babies back to her or something, or what was it?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I had talked to her, I was like, well, I'm sure that Mrs. Fever will end up doing some breeding projects and making her own thing out of it as her part of staying in the hobby, so to speak, and having her thing. So I told her, time comes, we'll get some eggs back along to her. Same thing with the plecos. She gave me a great deal, and one of the things was, hey, you get them breeding, you hook me up with some babies, and always welcome to do that. Awesome shop, recommend you check it out. But frozen bloodworms and the salmon pellets, I don't know the brand because that's what she feeds, and I got them off of her, so they weren't actually in the commercial packaging, if you will. But definitely check out Susie Q and Kaylor's Aquatics for more info. They're longer term keepers of axolotls, and even now I have axolotls, but I wouldn't consider myself the axolotl keeper, if you will. Of course, I'm going to help with all that, but that's really Mrs. Fever's thing, kind of like she's the African cichlid person. She's the one that maintains the knowledge about that stuff, but I don't think she's in here right now. All right. Rolling and scrolling. Mr. Fish, Sir Brad, thank you for posting the links. Patty's Petite Tank says, hello. Good to see you, Patty. Hope you're doing well. M&C Aquatics mentioning those fronties in that tank. I know Mrs. Fever will be jealous. There's my brother from another mother, Chris from Multi-Tank Addiction with $1 super chat. Dropping that big pile of fertilizer in the stream. I appreciate you, buddy. And again, congrats on 2,000 subscribers. That is awesome. And hello to Patrick Hardy. Great to see you in here. Aaron Sam Mattel says, hey, man, could you post a link to the Fish Room Fever website? Gotcha. I'm just reading the highlight stuff. You are welcome. Want to take addiction. Anna Sides is asking, how should I aquascape my betta tank? So, the very first rule of aquascaping, and again, this is my opinion, not a professional aquascaper, but I have always made my very first rule of aquascaping, create something that you will enjoy looking at. It doesn't matter if you go buy all the books and watch all the videos and you recreate perfectly the #1 aquascape from yada yada competition. If you don't like the way it looks, you're not going to be happy with it. So #1, create something that you enjoy looking at. Keep in mind for a betta, you're going to want to think about temperatures. Most plants are going to be fine in there. But just keep in mind plants that'll go good in that temperature, in that environment. Get some broadleaf stuff. I really love Anubias in my bettascapes because they've got those broader leaves. So you kind of get rid of having that fake betta bed in there because it's got like this whole bush of beds, if you will. And I'll usually go somewhere toward the background. But everybody has their own style. I mean, I find myself to be a corner aquascaper, meaning that I like to aquascape from the corner outwards. Ed is more like a center aquascaper from what I've seen on a lot of his. He likes to work from the center outwards. So it's kind of what you're into again. Look at it and think of something you'll enjoy that also is suitable for the fish and will benefit that fish.
Yeah, and I wouldn't actually. I just brought this piece of spiderwood stuff up. I don't think I'd use that because it might snag your bettas. Yep. But like, you can it depends on how big of a tank it is. But if it's like a little cube or something, one piece of gorgeous Mopani did I pronounce that wrong? Mopani it's so beautiful. You don't have to worry about it sinking because it sinks, or floating is what I should have said. You know, you can just put like that in and like a couple little plants in your gold. You can also just go and buy 1 or 2 pretty rocks. You know, you could
Absolutely.
just kind of, this is fossilized wood, but you know, you could just kind of do something like that, just stagger just a hair. And it doesn't need to be, the whole tank doesn't have to be filled. But if it's a small tank, you can get something, you know, kind of more expensive than you normally do because you don't have to get much of it. And it really is amazing. A pretty piece of dragon stone, maybe. You know?
Absolutely.
Goes a long ways.
Mike's Aquatics of Things says, loving the layout. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. Working on that along with a lot of other things on the channel. A lot of hard focus on the tanks these past couple of weeks while trying to upgrade some things on the channel for you all. But once I get things kind of situated over this next week, you'll see a lot more changes and focuses and a lot more video coming out. I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm super happy to be working on, and having the fish room situated is going to make that possible, and having the space and the filming areas laid out is going to be great. But I appreciate you. I really do. I always love to hear feedback as we change things around on the channel. You know, let me know, are you liking it? The new thumbnail style, you know, are you enjoying that? Let me know. I appreciate it. I always love to hear the feedback. All right. Let me get back.
I like it. I like the thumbnails. I
appreciate that. We're trying to make it less crazy, if you will, a little more simplified. So you're not like, what? There's 27 different colors and 43 lines of text. And what the heck is that? Hey, RB Animals, good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Saw a question. There it is, Paul Stero. Maybe not a question. It's Paul. He's probably dropping knowledge. But says, I found that my planted 120 discus tank needs the least amount of fiddling. It's also the oldest, so the water parameters are stable. It's the small tanks that eat up the time. Absolutely. Larger tank, more water, more stable parameters. Planted tank, even better. You know, that's going to help keep things in check. A lot of the times, like you mentioned, the smaller tanks take more work. And that's why I usually don't recommend starting out with a 10-gallon tank for somebody new. One, because I know oftentimes it leads to them just going and buying a bigger tank. And two, because it's a lot easier for somebody new to the hobby to keep parameters stable in, you know, maybe a 40 breeder, or at least even a 20-gallon, 55, even though they're not necessarily my cup of tea. But yeah, absolutely, Paul. Deborah Lewis says, that's right, Fish Room Fever, you can get inspiration, but it's got to work for you. Yep, absolutely. So that's my number one rule. Number one, create something that you'll like. And number two would be make sure it's suitable for the fish, which I guess you could say number one. But I put those two together. It's, do I like this and does it work for the fish? So I guess the in and of itself is rule number one. Yep.
Yeah, fish are too much work. Maybe you shouldn't have so many fish.
Yeah, I honestly, I got to that point, you know, getting up to 100 tanks. It's like, I don't need 40 10-gallon tanks to have to deal with on top of all these other tanks. You know, and I've got 30 some odd tanks empty in storage. You know, down the road, we set some more stuff up, we do some things, but I'm bringing it back down to a level of enjoyable maintainability. I think enjoyable maintainability is what everybody should strive for. I really, really do. I've been preaching that for a while. All right, let me get through here and we'll get back on the topic here.
Brad was asking about my tubbing. Is it all right if I cover that one quick?
Go right ahead.
I was going to set up my tubs this week, but I didn't get the tooling. I've like searched all over for the right type of netting, and the best netting is called tooling, and it's something you find at a fabric place. I found it at Walmart, but I would rather try to see if I can get a little bit bigger. My problem isn't dragonflies, isn't mayflies, isn't birds. It's tree frogs. So I have to get something small enough that a mosquito can go through, but a tree frog the size of my pinky nail won't go through. So that means I have to have a tight nylon that won't stretch because they're a frog is flexible. So I don't want to give it any extra flex. So But I've got a design. I've got the not the ceramic, what's the springy stuff called? Elastic. I've got elastic to go all the way around them. I've bought 2 more 110 tubs, so I'm going to have 4 110s this year. And yeah, I think I know what guppies I'm going to put out there. First I'm going to put my mutt guppies out because, mutt guppies always just go well. I'm going to put my ones I've mixed my fish with Mississippi Hippies fish, the Nebula Steel. I'm going to put some of those out there. So that's going to be 2 tubs. I'm going to try my Japanese blue tails. I've got enough Japanese blue tails to split them into 3. So instead, I've got 2 tanks. I'm just going to take half out of each and do that. And then I think I'm going to try Mod Guppy sword tails, even though they go crazy and have a bajillion babies. But I think that's going to be my 4. Was that 4? Yeah. I think that's going to be my 4. Unless I've got a lot of, red tail pewter Dumbo ear guppies. I've got a lot of them, so I could split that tank and put half outside. But they're just so cute to look at. I kind of hate to take them out of my room.
Absolutely.
Oh, and he also asked if I'm worked on the hot tub yet. Haven't worked whatsoever with the hot tub. I've got so many projects. That's going to be something that's more midsummer when I'm actually done with a lot of other things. Because that'll be goldfish. So I can do that any time of the year.
Absolutely. So let's talk maintenance. Ed, what do you feel? Now, let's put addition projects aside because I know you've got a lot of things you're working on. I've got a lot of things I'm working on. The hobby's constantly evolving for just about all of us. But let's talk just basic maintenance. You had everything set up. You weren't adding, you weren't expanding. And you're just going in, taking care of what you need to take care of. I guess also for those of the people that don't know, about how many tanks do you have and about how much time a day do you feel would be optimal or necessary to maintain a good fish room or a high standard fish room?
I don't know. If I put an hour in every day, I would probably save time. I bet you, because what I do is I do things in like 2 to 3 times a week. I do a whole bunch. Like I've got some that need to be cleaned. The algae has to be cleaned off. I've got to do my vacuuming on a few of my big pooper tanks. I've got to constantly do duckweed every week. I've got to cut Val because it goes crazy. But if I normally do all my plant maintenance, it takes about 4 or 5 hours, probably 4 hours on Wednesday. And I tune in on Bob Kaler's. I start when Bob starts up, and then I go and eat dinner, and then I go back and I listen to everybody else as I work in those rooms. I bet you if I would spend an hour a day, I would never have anything to do. That probably doesn't make sense, but I bet everything would always be looking polished and nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, I myself, if I were to standard maintenance, bare minimum, probably 14 hours a week is what would maintain a good level fish room. And you got people like, Dean, Dean's Fish Room, who apparently spends 3 hours a day, and this is the time he stops and he does his fish thing. And it shows, if you've seen Dean's Fish Room and Frank Coffee and other people's videos, and it's immaculate. And then you hear, he spends a dedicated 3 hours a day, and you're like, well, that makes perfect sense. So not that I'll ever get to his level, but that's certainly my goal at this point, is to have that fish room where you walk in, and you come over to do a tour and you go, oh my God. You look at a video of my tanks and you go, that's immaculate. That's stunning. That's gorgeous. And I think that once routine maintenance is, up to par, if you will, where it's not, I've spent 8 hours today and, I'm just not going to fool with it for, 2 or 3 days, and I'll spend 6 hours, where I'm steadily, working minimum 1 hour a day, I've kind of looked, like I mentioned earlier, and I've gone, what could I do with that tank if I spent just an hour on that tank? And this is not what I'm recommending necessarily to everybody, but this is where I'm going with it. And I looked and like that would be an absolutely beautiful aquascape if I spent an hour actually doing the things where I sit and I look at it and I go, I don't like the way that tank looks, but I got to do this, this, and this. So that's one of my goals, is to kind of go through and go, okay, how do I make this tank look better? The tank that's on my desk, you can't see it. It's decent, but it's also got some stuff that I just, threw some sticks in there as I was moving around and go, oh, this needs to go in there with those shrimp. Haven't come back and messed with it. And it, might typically lay there for a month like that. It's in the tank. The shrimp can get on the stick and whatnot and get the biofilm, but it's not a show-worthy tank, if you will. It's not something you all would look at and go, oh, that's a beautiful tank. You'd go, well, why is that driftwood just kind of thrown in there like that? So upping the game there, making things more aesthetically pleasing. I do want to say
would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I think if you spend an hour a day just making things look good, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
It would look like an aquarium.
Yeah, and then eventually, getting into even better organizing, which I'm very meticulous about. Everything has a place and a place for everything and everything in its place. But even getting to a higher level of that.
I caught myself today organizing.
Oh goodness, yeah. Yep. You got to be careful, but I think for the basics, kind of some of the things that go along with it. Just sitting there staring at your tanks, that's not really working on your tanks, getting in there. Because a lot of people have said, well, my fish room is my living room, and that's amazing. Mine is too, but sitting and looking at them doesn't really count. It kind of does if you're sitting there with the purpose of observing, but things like, I went and I fed the fish. I did this water change. I moved these plants, even to the extent of, and this would be great for like some of the people that are new to the hobby. I researched this topic, or I researched this fish, or I tried to plan out what's the next fish I'm going to get. So let's go research this tetra. Let's find out more about this tetra that I would like to add to my new tank. And I'm new to the hobby, and maybe I don't know. Then I went, on Aquabidder. I went online and I ordered that fish, or I went to the local pet store to pick up, that fish and acclimate them. And then I watched how they were doing things of that nature, actually interacting with the tank. Not just, I spent an hour sitting in a room full of fish tanks, because most of us do that each and every day. But things of that nature, things that really progress your hobby, increase the living circumstances of our aquatic friends. Hey, Aquatic Aesthetics, good to see you. Had a wonderful time with you on that live stream. We're going to talk about that more on Chattanooga Ed's channel after this, which is about 27 minutes from now if you're watching this live. If you're catching this on a replay and you don't know my buddy Chattanooga Ed, be sure and go check him out. He's got an awesome channel. We go pretty much everywhere together, but he's got things that he does. He's a couple hours away. He's got stuff you won't find on here, and that's what I want to stress is if you're just watching Ed on here, you're missing out on some really cool Chattanooga Ed stuff, so go check him out. But I'm really enjoying it. I really am. I think it's a wonderful thing for the hobby. I understand some people might be worried that it's creating work, but again, I feel like you're either if this was my only tank, I wouldn't have an hour worth of stuff to do on it every day. I really wouldn't. Feed them and then spend some time watching them, and do my thing. Maybe I'm listening to YouTube while I'm looking at this tank. So I feel like that's fair to incorporate people that have, minimal tanks, or maybe that's great. Okay, they're going to spend an hour a day for the next 2 or 3 days because they do have stuff that needs done. They do need to move the driftwood. They need to order some plants to go in here. They need to research what else can I put in this tank. And then they get to the point where it's done. Okay, I'm doing my water changes when I need to do my water changes. I've tested parameters, and now I'm spending that time enjoying my fish and maybe listening to videos and increasing my knowledge in the hobby. So I think it's a great idea. I would encourage you all to try it. If you do it, you fish tubers out there, fellow fish tubers, put hashtag 1 hour challenge and at me in there. Put at Fish Room Fever. Let me know you're doing it. I'll come check out your videos, check out your posts, interact with you all. And we can make this a thing in the fish fam, if you will, and really encourage people to up their game. Because again, I think the more that we as quote unquote faces of the hobby, regardless of channel size, people, we put our content out there, anybody in the world can view it. The more that we as faces in the hobby, my camera doesn't know what to do. There's too much going on here. And the computer upgrade is on hold currently because of that $4,000 central heat and air expense. But we're working on it. The more that we up our game, the more that we raise our standards, and the more that we present that to the public, the more that we can get fellow hobbyists to kind of looking, oh, wow, well, I didn't know my 10-gallon could look like that, or I didn't know that, a tank could be that stunning, or I didn't know you could put those fish together. I didn't know we could do, let's learn some more. But I also think you'll find people on YouTube that are kind of going through and they see this beautiful fish tank and they go, oh, wow, that's just some random guy with, 2,500, subscribers. He's not a big person and he's got these, pretty tanks, versus, first you've got awesome big channels and, higher expectations, if you will. People go there and they expect to see a high quality. I feel like we could really bring that high quality to all of our channels and really get more people involved, really kind of keep each other accountable, if you will, and have fun with it. That's the big thing. I don't want this to be stressful for people. Again, I want to say that I don't feel like maintenance should be stressful. I feel like it's something that you can enjoy. And I feel like when it gets to the point that it is stressful, you probably haven't been putting the 1 hour a day worth or the time in that you needed to be putting in, or you've gone beyond your enjoyably maintainable capacity. And that's really what I want to focus on is enjoyably maintainable. If you've got so many things that you don't have fun with the hobby, don't be ashamed to downsize. Everybody's life is different. We all have different circumstances. Fish Room Fever is great. I love the fact that hashtag Fish Room Fever has over 7 million views on another platform. I love to get that. I want to make Fish Room Fever a thing, so to speak, like multi-tank syndrome is. That was the goal with it. But I don't want people to think, oh, God, and we've talked on this on other live streams, well, I only have 5 tanks. Well, why does it have to be only? It doesn't have to be only. If you come up to me and go, hey, I've got 5 fish tanks, I'm going to go, well, that's great. I'm not going to go, why don't you have more? If you come up to me and go, hey, I've got 5 fish tanks, I'm thinking about adding more. Awesome. Let's have that conversation. But I don't want people to be discouraged from, quote unquote, only having 1 tank, only having 10 tanks, only having a couple dozen. When all said and done, I'm only going to have, about 40 some odd tanks that are set up and as many, if not more, that are empty in the storage. So, yeah, MSC, I caught some of that. I was actually listening through a good bit of it, and we've talked about it before. MSC had mentioned Primetime Aquatics did a live last night about how many is too many. We've discussed that before in terms of that, and I thought that was great. He did. I chimed in a little bit as I took one of my breaks, but yesterday I completely broke down the rack of 16 tens. Don't worry, I didn't take it down. I just broke it down, and I reset everything. I said, okay, we're doing a fresh start. I'm going to get everything set back up the way that I want it to be. And we're going to go through, and then I'm going to spend time going, okay, what fish am I putting in here? What plants am I putting in here? Things of that nature. But I was listening while doing that, and then I sat down at one point because I had to move some tanks to different shelves, and really enjoyed that conversation they had on there.
Primetime Jason is awesome. I love him.
Yeah, so Ginger, that's a very valid point. Says she's yelling at me in caps. Says this stream is feeling super judgmental. Just saying, nobody's judging here. I'm not judging. I'm simply being honest in the fact that I bit off more than I can chew. Because the rest of hers was saying some of us just bit off more than we can chew. Don't know which fish to give up now. Absolutely, I can understand that.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're supposed to. Are you doing a challenge thing?
I am. I am.
So where are we supposed to link our thoughts of the day or whatever? So, you said hashtag, but I don't know what that means.
That's just
That
typing.
just
That's like you
that's
type
what you-
hashtag and you put it as one word. So hashtag 1HR challenge. I've got a community tab post on there. You're welcome to go on there and add to it. I've been adding on there once a week. I'm going to make a new post. We kind of talked about this elsewhere. I forget where I was talking. Somebody said you should do a daily one. I said, well, I thought about it, but I don't really want to spam out posts to people. So I'm going to do a new community post every week and kind of go through that week and go on there and post what I'm doing that day for my hour. I encourage you all to come on there and let me know what you're doing. We've had some great conversations. I've talked to several people about, say, well, case of point, I'm setting up a new 180. Well, what do you put in there? Well, frontosis. Well, that's awesome. Mrs. Fever's going to be jealous. So having a lot of fun interacting on there as well. But yeah, you could, Ed, you've got a channel, go on there and post it, tag me in there at Fish Room Fever. Here's my hashtag 1 hour challenge. You don't have to use the hashtag, but I thought it'd be cool if we all kind of did a thing and grouped on it and, showed some love and support for each other.
Well, is this community thing at Facebook?
No, it's your community tab on your channel. Now, I think if you're under 1,000, you don't have the community tab, but we're still putting out videos. Everybody's doing different stuff. If you're not, and even if you don't create stuff, you can still come on there. People that are watching come on mine and say, "Oh yeah, hey, I did this today. I worked on some aquascaping, or I ordered this stuff." When Aquarium Co-op came on, I mentioned he fed the fish and he ordered some stuff and he replanted some plants. That was his thing that he did. So, having a good time, enjoying that. None of it's meant to be judgmental. We're not here to judge anybody. I think Ed and I have always been some of the least judgmental people that you'll find on here. It's really hard to get us to go, now shame on you. That's unless you're doing something that's just outright and belligerently harmful to people or fish. We're not really judgmental. To each their own, and what works for me may not work for you, right? But
I get judgy when people start judging.
Yeah, absolutely. But mine was more just a matter of being candid and being honest and going, hey, I got caught up in it. I got way caught up in it. It was short-term manageable, but was there long-term enjoyable manageability? No, there wasn't. It was just too much to maintain over a very long period of time. Maybe you don't downsize right away. Like Zen said, can't figure out what fish to get rid of. So maybe you keep your setups the way they are, understanding that you're in over your head. And you just do what you can. And maybe you just don't set any more up. Or you get to the point where, okay, 12 is good for me. I set up number 13. Now I'm struggling. Now all of my tanks, everything is diminished. They're not at the quality they were before. So maybe I go back to 12 instead of 13. Fantastic Freaks with the $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, hi, guys. Just dropping off 5 before I start some water changes. Finley is about to hate me. Go back there. Stay fantastic, guys. Buddy, you stay fantastic. I want to have you on and talk to you again sometime. We haven't had you on in a while. But I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you for the super chat. Never expected, but always appreciated. That's going towards the Aquashella Fund. And we're going to talk more about Aquashella on Ed's channel here in about 15 minutes. Fantastic Freaks. Thank you, my buddy. All right. Let's get through some comments here. There was the primetime comment. Merdol, yes. If you've got questions or comments, put at Fish Room Fever. That highlights it for me, and those will stick out, and I can answer those questions. Say those comments. Let's go back up here. MSC is in on the 1 hour challenge. I love it. Glad to hear it. Jason did bring up a lot of things to consider. So if anybody doesn't know Primetime Aquatics, I would encourage you. At another point, not right now, right? Because we're hanging out here, then we're going over to Ed's. But check out Primetime Aquatics. Did do a really great stream about some of the things to keep in mind and what to consider.
In real life, Jason from Primetime Aquatics is super buff. I was shocked on how huge this guy was. He's
sorry.
Just weird. Never mind.
Dovec Aqua Design says, hey, Aquaholics, enjoyed your community post, Fish Room Fever, and I think the 1 week will be a nice idea. I'm glad to hear it, and I appreciate it. I enjoyed interacting with you all. The more I get to talk to you all, the better. there's fun. That's why we're here. We're here to have fun, right? And enjoy our fish and enjoy the hobby. Let me get through here. All right. Caught up comments and questions. If I did miss something further up when the chat jumped on me, there, put at Fish Room Fever and see it that way. Little at symbol there. And that will show up for me. But yeah, and real quick to address on the stickers, I did find, I was going to pull them out. They're in this drawer over here. Got my envelopes again. Oh, no, they're behind some stuff. We're going to pull all that out. But I got my envelopes, got Ed's stickers, got the Tea and Fish Mafia stickers, and I've got my stickers. Got my little Fish Room Fever envelope stamper, and Mrs. Fever is going to help me get those addressed and out. So those are on the way. That was one of those things when she got hurt, I never really fully took that over. And she was always kind of in charge of that, if you will. That was one of the many ways that she helps out. My microphone off. This thing being dumb. Can you hear me, Ed?
Yeah, you're doing fine.
All right. It popped up a little thing. Your microphone's disconnected. And I'm like, surely it would have said something if it truly were. But
Shy does a lot of work.
Sure.
And we really appreciate her. And now we really miss her with her broken foot.
Absolutely.
I wish she could be normal again.
Right. Well, I don't know.
I probably shouldn't say it like that, but
normal's not fun. But
I hope she gets healed someday or fixed.
Yes, most definitely. Hopefully.
It's no fun going through life with a broken wing, or I guess a broken wheel.
Yeah. So let me know who else in here is up for the 1 hour challenge. I'd love to hear it. And of course, Fish Tank Barn. It's another thing I want to bring up before we ended the stream, but let me say thank you, Mike, for the $5 super chat, my friend. I appreciate you. Fish Tank Barn, another awesome channel. He's going to be on the show this Saturday for our Saltwater Saturday series, and we are going to be talking water. Now, I know that seems like, well, why would you talk water for an hour? For those of you that don't know, we are doing a boom. Okay, there we go. We're back. It's a magic trick, right? We're doing a very, very simplified series for people that are not comfortable looking at the saltwater videos. A lot of them that are out there, you pull up a video and it's like how to, and you get like 3 minutes in and there's all this terminology that you've never heard. And it's like, well, that's great, but I don't know what you're talking about to even get to that point. So Mike, Fish Tank Barn, he's our expert saltwater guy. I'm kind of mid-level, and Ed is brand new into saltwater. We're doing that series. We're drawing it out. The last time we talked about tank sizes. Next week, we're going to be talking about water for your saltwater tank. And then from there, we'll move on to your substrate and your rock, making it very, very simple to follow along with. Very, very easy. So if somebody came along, they could look at all these in a very easy to understand way, get to know the terminology at a more laid back pace, if you will, and have some fun with that. But let me read the super chat. I just wanted to again remind you all this Saturday to come check that out. Fish Tank Burn said, I found that place. I've been spending a lot of time the last few months rearranging the fish room. Yeah, it's one of those things that it's real easy to get too many tanks, if you will. So find your happy place, if you will, and hang out there. Make sure that the hobby is something that you enjoy. And if you get in over your head, don't be afraid to say, I'm in over my head. I get in over my head. I got in over my head. It's easy to do. Again, Zen, nobody's judging. More of an admittance. It's hi, my name's James, Fish Room Fever, and I'm an aquaholic. I have a tendency to buy way too many tanks and way too many fish. And instead, I'm going to refocus on my enjoyable maintainability. So there we go. R&B, yes, I did. Kaler's Aquatics, with that $1 super sticker. Add that big brown pile of fertilizer. Thank you, my buddy Bob. I had a blast hanging out with you at that swap meet. We're going to talk more on that on Ed's stream in 10 minutes here. But that was a really, really fun time. Let's get that off the monitor so I can see. Paul Steros says, so James, have you figured out what you're doing with the grand prize from the swap yet? So some of it I have, and I won't get too far into that. But if you look at, now that I can't see because my chat's there, how this background is like a pinkish color on the screen there, that is one of the lights that I want. It's actually a background setup, and I can change the colors on that. So I set both of those up. The filter, I don't know yet, but we'll talk more on Edstream with that. And this little guy is going somewhere on the desk. I thought this was cool. This is from Nano to Reefs.
That's really neat.
Self-contained environment. So it's got 2 little shrimp in there. You never have to open it. There's enough biofilm for them to be able to feed off of that for their lifetimes. 2 males in there, so no reproduction. It's going to be those 2 guys. The plants to make sure there's oxygen and all that stuff, and really, really awesome. Fish Tank Martin, I've been doing the 1-hour challenge for a while. Just got back from picking up the new saltwater tank. Ooh, congrats on that. Thank you again, Bob at Kaler's Aquatic, for that super sticker. My friend, Xanadu with the $1 brown pile of fertilizer as well. Thank you, Xanadu. Always great to see you. I hope those fish are doing well for you. I know last I heard they were reproducing like crazy and having a good old time, so I hope they're still doing it. Challenge Aquatic says, challenge accepted. # you can do it. Absolutely.
Xdo kind of looks like, the Hitman Hart. Brett the Hitman Hart.
Right.
Just noticed that. Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. 93 watching and 63 thumbs up. Well, I appreciate, or 69 thumbs up. I appreciate all of you all being here. I appreciate the likes. If you are enjoying it, do me a favor, hit the like button. If somehow you came across this and you're not subscribed, subscribe button's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And you know what? If you dislike it, hit the thumbs down. Let me know. If I don't know, we can't fix it. We're still kind of playing with that middle zone of last week. I talked for 40 minutes and then there wasn't quite enough time to address everything in chat, to bouncing back and forth. And it's always finding that fun middle ground of interacting with you all while covering the topic and providing quality entertainment, if you will. Bringing value, as I like to say. I always want to bring the value. Mike's Aquatics thinks with that $5 super sticker with the karate fox.
That's my favorite.
Thank you, Mike. Very much appreciated. Always thank you for being here, and thank you for the super chat. This is all going towards the Aquashella Fund for next month. And Michelle Kinsey with that $1 super sticker with the sunglasses smiley face. Very much appreciate you as well, Michelle. Another awesome member and supporter of the channel, part of the Fish Room Fever family. So thank you for that. Now, Paul Steer says, so what exactly is required for the challenge? I had to let the dog out when you were talking about it. Basically, it's just spending an hour working on / interacting with your tanks. The only specificity or clarification there would be just sitting and hanging out in a room full of tanks isn't really spending an hour maintaining your tanks, but it's everything from feeding your fish to maybe researching a new fish you're added, going online and maybe going on Aquabid and buying that fish, or going, I need to go make an order from LRB, or I need to make an aquarium co-op order. I need, a bunch of Pogostemon stellatus octopus. Whatever plant. I need to get more co-op fertilizer. I need to order these betas from keepfishkeeping.com, John and Lisa at KG. Things like that are incorporated. Things to help improve the quality of the hobby and improve the quality of life for your aquatic friends. That's in my opinion is really easy to do. But a lot of people just go, my fish tanks are in my living room. I sit and I watch the TV show, for an hour. So there's my 1 hour. Well, it's not really the challenge, but I do think that it will definitely improve the quality of aquariums that you see on the channel, as well as the quality of aquariums that people watching and listening maintain at home. I feel like that's going to help bring people to a higher standard, to where maybe we don't have so many, oh my God, I'm having this problem, because they're addressing things before a problem ever happens, if that makes sense. I don't know that I eloquently worded that, but that's my thoughts on it. Rico Stan, what's going on, buddy? With $5 super chat, says little old lady got mutilated late last night.
I was trying to sing that, but I don't know what song that is.
I wasn't even going to attempt it. I've hit the beat a couple times on random things, and now I'm going to get yelled at for not knowing what that's from. But Rico Stan, thank you, buddy. I always appreciate you. A long-time supporter of the channel, and you know that means the world to me. Just a fun guy as well. So I had a great time hanging out, talking to you on your stream a while back. Not having a fish conversation.
Yeah, he looks like a nice guy.
Absolutely.
I could probably talk to him.
Absolutely. Patrick Hardy says, can you show the jar one more time? Had to find my glasses. I certainly can. Let's see what I consider the front because of the way that it is quote unquote escaped. So we'll put that back there so it'll maybe focus a little better. You probably won't see the shrimp in there. There's got two little neocardinas and just, a couple little bitty rocks, couple little plants, one little piece of driftwood. Super, super cool. Never has to be opened, fed, maintained. It is there. That was from Nano to Reefs. I think they've got a website, do they? Maybe. I don't see one on there. Don't see one on their little card. But that was one of the prizes I won at the swap meet last week from that awesome time we had hanging out with everybody. And I'll probably do a little video on that. Let's see. All right.
That was from Werewolves in London.
Werewolves in London. Okay. Did not see that.
Patty was shaming me.
So Jesse Nordholt says, question about Prime. Do you think Pond Prime is okay to use in home aquariums, even though it is so much concentrated? I've not used Pond Prime before. I don't even think I've ever even held a bottle of Pond Prime. If I had to venture a guess, which is exactly what this is, I would say, just based off of a manufacturing and business standpoint, chances are it's more than likely the same product at a higher concentration as you mentioned, and therefore would be safe under the same usage and regulation. Just because, or is a company going to specifically develop an entirely new chemical structure for their pond product versus their aquarium product? Or is it just going to be more concentrated? That's what I'm looking at that from that perspective, not knowing the product 100%. So again, this is purely speculative on my part. But I would say as long as you're following the dosage in terms of the concentration and how many mLs per use per gallons, yes. But I would have to further research that to give you a more knowledgeable answer. But assuming that it is the same product, just more concentrated, I would say follow the dosing guidelines. You'll be safe.
I don't use any Prime for my outdoor tubs. I fill them up and I let them sit for a couple of weeks and just let all the mosquitoes get in there. And then I put the fish in. So I never have to really worry about it. And I don't do water changes. But if I lived like in a deserty area or somewhere that didn't rain a lot, or maybe we have a drought this year, I'd use Prime.
Oh, wow. T-Bones Fishy says, I finally got your stickers. They came on Tuesday. How long did that take? So long that I don't even remember when I mailed you stickers, T-Bone.
Were they my stickers or your stickers?
Maybe your stickers. It was highlighted at me, but it could have been your stickers. So, Ed, when did you mail T-Bone?
Oh, I don't know if I did or not, because I don't think T-Bone uses his real name, T-Bone.
Right.
But I mailed out like 30-some things about 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely. All right. So got about a minute left. Any final questions or comments, feel free to throw those in there. Again, just to kind of wrap up, if you're new to the hobby and you're having a lot of issues, you got a lot of tanks, quick, no judgment. Let's clarify that. We're not judging anybody. I've gotten in way over my head, admittedly. I really think like this could do some good. I definitely think for the fish tubers, if you will, those of us creating content, I would highly encourage you all to join us on this quote unquote challenge. I don't think this is really challenging. I think this is going to be a fun thing. But join us, get involved, spend an hour a day with your tanks, not just sitting in the same room, but actually interacting. Let's move some plants. Let's, do our gravel vacuuming if we have to do that. Feeding fish. Maybe ordering things, maybe doing some research on that new fish that I thought about keeping. Things of that nature. Really encourage you to get involved with it. The camera, again, it doesn't like me doing that. But really, really encourage it. I'm having fun with it. I really am. Get more involved with your tanks. I think it's also going to make your life easier. Tank's probably going to stay healthier if you're spending the time in there maintaining it. B, you're probably going to get to the point to where you don't have that much stuff to do. Realistically, if you've got 10 tanks or less, you will probably get to a point fairly quickly that you don't have an hour's worth of in the tank hands wet things to do. And that's when you get to the point of, okay, I don't have to do anything, so to speak. Everything is good. What can I do? Let's go look at some new wood for this. Let's go online. Let's find some more plants for this. Oh, hey, let's go check out, again, not sponsored, aquariumcoop.com. Let's go, hey, see what plants they've got right now. Oh, that would look good in the tank. Oh, that driftwood would look really good in the tank. No, well, maybe it's time to upgrade that filter. Maybe I want to try this out. Maybe it's time to add a new tank. That's something we talked about, getting in over our heads. But realistically, that's a point that a lot of people will probably get to is I've gotten everything to where it's so manageable that now I have time for an extra tank. Hello. Boop, there we go. I think I'm going to try a USB hub. I've got one that it didn't help fix the problem. So maybe we'll buy another USB hub and see if that's an easy fix for this until we get the desktop. But that's definitely a possibility. And I think that's awesome as well, that it will get people to the point that, okay, I have 6 tanks. I've been doing the hour-a-day challenge. All my tanks are kept up, and it's going to freeze again. All my tanks are kept up to the point that I can spend time adding and making things better and creating new aquascapes or creating new environments, bringing new things in, really getting back to the joy of fish keeping. That's really what I think it's about. It's about the joy of fish keeping. It's about keeping people in the hobby. How many people would we have if they had, maintained their tanks versus I got a tank. I didn't really know. I didn't spend time with it. It got overgrown with algae. I didn't bother fooling with it. Then the fish got sick. And I'm just done. I'm out of the hobby. I quit. I give up. How many fellow aquarists, fellow aquaholics would we have if people just put the time in to begin with and then got to that happy place of things are perfect, so to speak. The joy of fish keeping. So again, I appreciate you all. I love you guys. We're 3 minutes over. We're going to head over to Chattanooga Ed's channel. Y'all already know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. As always, Ed, thank you for being here. My buddy, my pal, my co-host. Go check out the Chattanooga Ed channel. Not just next if you're live, because that's where we're headed to, but also if you're catching the replay, he's got awesome stuff over there. The moderators, the members, the lurkers, the listeners, the super chatters, contributors, and commentators. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Be sure to check me out over on the community tab as well. Until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy, and as always, don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.